Good afternoon. This is Yazid Muhammad, and I'm coming to you from Born Again Africa. And I appreciate you all watching our videos and pressing like and also subscribing to our channel. Is really the support we need in order to continue on and to be able to give you good information. So if any of the information that I share with you and it's informative or you get something out of it, please subscribe, maybe like it or make a comment. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Another business that I think is also a great investment and one that I have experience in is a block factory. And let me tell you a little history about my experience as a block factory owner and laborer. That is back in 2010. Well, prior to that, in 2009 or 2008, my mother purchased two block factory making machines. They produce two machine blocks, and it's a machine where it takes three people to operate it. You know, you mix the sand and cement. There's a mix to produce a certain amount of blocks. So at my block factory, at the block factory that my mother established, well, she didn't establish, she bought it already established, and then when I came in, it had not been working, and I was tasked with trying to make blocks. But my background was in the medical field, and I hadn't done any type of that type of labor in years up to that point. So when I came in, I had to be educated about how to make blocks. So I asked around, and there was a brother, George Tete, who introduced me to another brother named Cephas Sekou. And Cephas had a block factory in Atampoku here, and I had a block factory. My block factory was at Fihankra, and what we did was I invited him over and paid him something to educate me about how to make blocks and how to manage the block factory. And Cephas was about 19 or 20 years of age. He's a very a driven young man at that time. You know, I was 35 years of age, and he was a young man. And he came around. He was like, yeah, you know, Mr. Yazi, this is how we do it. This is how you make the mix. This is how you call the boys. And then you have to kind of be on the boys, and you need to have this, that, and third. So, you know, shout out to Cephas for giving me the knowledge on how to make the blocks and how to manage the block factory. And essentially, we were fortunate to have our own Kia truck. We own a Kia Bongo, which is I would say a mid-size Kia, and though it was not designed to carry heavy loads, I did force it and use it to carry blocks, maybe 200 at a time or 150 at a time. But you know, essentially, in order to have a block factory or to manage a block factory very well, you need to be near to a water source. You need to have an open area so that you can get your materials in. That is, a dump truck will come and pour your sands, different types of sands in. You also need an area to stack your blocks at so that they can dry and be packed. Then you're going to need also a truck. You need a large Kia Rhino or the truck that's under that one, which will help you to convey the blocks to your customers. And this is very important because when you don't have the capacity to deliver the blocks, then that's when you will be seeing a lot of lost revenue and lost business, because it's very difficult for maybe a consumer to come in, buy the blocks, and then turn around and look for another person to convey them. So a lot of times they will rely on the block factory to try to make those arrangements, and they charge by the block on carrying them and moving them. So when I was doing my block factory, this was back in 2010 up until 2012 is when I officially closed the block factory. And I still have some of the block factory equipment, but I learned how to, you know, make the blocks. But we use manpower, which is a mold where you mix it and you use manpower is when you use your own strength, and then you have a handheld mold which you use. And we made blocks that way as well as machine blocks, and I also have a paver making machine, which we make the hexagon paver as well as the rectangle paver. And I still have those things, and I use them for my own project now. Uh, but you know, some of the things that I learned was you have to take on correct laborers. One thing important, you know, about a block factory is in order for it to be considered a block factory, you need to have 3,000 or 4,000, maybe 5,000 blocks on standby. You know, not that when somebody wants to order blocks, they now will come and place an order for the blocks with my block factory. Now, before I will go and look for laborers to come and make the blocks, that is a whole that doesn't help the process of selling. What I suggested and what I learned was that you need to have a stock down, so when people come to your block factory and they want to buy, you already have the materials on hand. And that was an important aspect of selling the blocks. One of the ways where my block factory was located was on a dead end, was on a secluded road. So I would have to go out and market the block factory. So Cephas and I, we would go around, and Cephas was selling manpower blocks and I was selling the machine blocks. But he and I worked out a deal where we would be working together and getting contracts together. And that was one of the first times that I worked with partnered with a Ghanaian brother here to do business. And it worked out. It worked out pretty good. You know, he would sometimes bring contracts to me for pavement blocks or machine blocks, and maybe we would bring in the laborers together. You know, he had laborers and friends that he would call them, and you know, we would negotiate a price. And the way I was charged was not by the blocks that you produce, but by the amount of how many bags of cement that you were able to do. So maybe I would give them a contract for 100 bags of cement. You know, 100 bags of cement should produce 3,200. Excuse that? Yes, 3,200 blocks. You should get 32 rich quality blocks from one bag of cement, and that would be using a mix that is 3 wheelbarrows of smooth sand, 2 wheelbarrows of rough sand to 1 bag of cement. Before you mix the water and you get the proper mix, and then you start to use the machine, and the machine allows you to stretch the cement further. So if you do, you can make 30 blocks, you can make, which will give you a more richer block, or you can make 35 blocks and you get a less rich block. And now when it becomes brittle, unless it dries over a long period of time. So on my block factory, I wanted to sell quality blocks, so I always try to make 1 or 2 under the standard, so that I would get a very rich block. And that worked out very well for me. And you know, one of the things that I was able to do was with Cephas was moving around and go to different construction sites, and then talk to the contractor and invite them back to our block factory. And once they came to the block factory and saw the quality of our blocks or our materials, they were sold on it. They would even wait to get some of the blocks that I would produce. You know, and maybe to produce 3,200 blocks, it may take maybe, let's say, the laborers, the machine operator, and then the 2 laborers, they would do maybe 10 bags of cement a day. So 10 bags of cement a day, you know, can take, you know, it take about a week or a little less, maybe take 10 days to get 100 bags, to get 3,200 blocks. And you know, that was that's how it kind of worked. One of the things I learned through that process was you know, I experienced some theft during the block factory, where some of the boys were stealing my cement. You know, I would get the quantity of blocks that I wanted, but they would steal the bag of cement, and some of the blocks, they wouldn't have cement in them. as much cement in them. So that was one of the ways that I began to lose in that block factory. But you find it very difficult to lose when you're producing the block. At that time, when I was making blocks, one block of a cement block was maybe 1 CD 50 pesos, 2 CDs. But now today it's going to 4 CDs, 5 CDs to produce blocks. So then to deliver is another add-on cost, another add-on fee. And people are building every day, even during this. I don't know what to call it, a recession, but the economy, the slowed economy. Some people is not slow, and they are still building. So block factories are still working, and this is some of the businesses that will always be kind of working. Again, one of the key things to have is your own transportation. That is a Kia truck to convey your own blocks. If possible, you get a big enough Kia truck, you can convey your own sand, or you get the tipper truck and you convey your own sand. That is one aspect that you can save money on, is being able to convey your own things. Transportation is key. Good afternoon, this is Yazid Muhammad, and I'm coming to you from Born Again Africa. And I appreciate you all watching our videos and pressing like and also subscribing to our channel. Is really the support we need in order to continue on and to be able to give you good information. So if any of the information that I share with you and it's informative, or you get something out of it, please subscribe, maybe like it or make a comment. We really appreciate it. Thank you.